Well, good morning. I'll officially call to order the regular meeting of the Coachella Valley Water District Board of Directors, April 8th, 2025, here in Palm Desert. And before we start, why don't we do this? Prior to roll call, I would like to make clear for the record of this meeting, and it should be reflected in the minutes, that at least a portion of this board meeting is conducted pursuant to California Government Code Section 54953, and that Director Nelson is in Shafter, California, and will be participating by speakerphone. In accordance with the Ralph M. Brown Act, the teleconference location has been identified on the agenda for this meeting. Clerk Bermudez, will you? I guess we'll do the pledge after this so we can all do it together. Clerk Bermudez, will you please call the roll?
Yes, good morning, President Powell.
Here.
Vice President Estrada is arriving late, and I'll note his arrival time for the record. Director Bianco?
Here.
Director Aguilar?
Here.
And Director Nelson?
Here.
Thank you.
I would now like to request that Director Nelson respond to the following questions. Director Nelson, can you hear me well?
Just fine, John. Thank you.
Yep, and I'm sure you could hear us up to this point.
Yes,
Do you have a copy of the agenda for this meeting?
I do. Online and posted outside.
Is your location reasonably accessible to the public such that any member of the public could participate in this teleconference from your location if he or she wished to do so?
Yes, they could.
And is anybody there with you?
Not today, John.
Not yet. Well, let us know if anyone shows up.
I'll let you.
And as a reminder, all votes for this meeting must be taken by roll call. And would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, I just gotta do that. That was a very good touch. That's much better. I don't know, you're the last one to touch it.
I always worry about those things. Figure if they stay there for a couple days on their own, they're not going to fall. Do we have any additions, deletions, or adjustments to today's agenda?
No, sir, we do not.
I'm not aware of any. Is there anybody from the public wishing to comment at this time? I don't see anyone. No. Hearing none. Do we have special presentation and
No,
recognition?
I just realized that should not have been on the
I
agenda.
didn't think we did.
Darn it, I missed that one.
All right. If we did, I would need help because I don't have it. All right. So 5, there's nothing on 5. And then consent calendar, we have items 6A through F.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar. Roll call vote, please.
President Powell?
Aye.
Director Bianco?
Aye.
Director Aguilar?
Aye.
And Director Nelson?
Aye.
Thank you. 4-0.
All right, let's see here. I don't want to take anything that's particularly dicey, but this one's not. Why don't we go ahead, Robert, with 8A, the forbearance agreement. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
President Powell, morning, members of the board. So the item in front of you, and I do not have a prepared presentation. I think this is should be relatively straightforward. I think this board has seen different versions of the forbearance agreement requests in previous. I think we had 2 last year, in fact. So the action in front of you is for a cleanup for the calendar year 2026, for continuation of forbearance for programs that were not covered under the first 2 forbearance agreements that were approved in 2024. So you'll see there's a total of 5 in here. 2 of them are CVWDs. So the reason why this is important is, besides leaving water in Lake Mead and preventing others from taking the water, these are also conditions that we need to get for California forbearance agreements for reclamation to pay us. So the two that might look familiar to you from CVWD, the first one is an extension of our 35,000 levy curtailment program for 2026. As you may remember, our current agreement only goes through this calendar year. So we'll get an additional 14 million, from that, particular extension. The second one is coverage for the Warp 4 project, and that one might be a little bit less clear on why it is that we're seeking forbearance for it, since that project would not be completed until 2029, actually producing water to leave behind 1,000 acre foot a year. The reason why is because not only do we need the forbearance agreement to start getting paid on this program, but our agreement with Reclamation actually provides us the ability to kind of prepay the account ahead of time. So we don't have to do it. We don't have to exercise that, but it is an option for us to make the 33,600. So that's why that's written the way it is. And I don't think, as of right now, because levy curtailment it will be on in full operations for next year, we don't foresee exercising that, but it will be there just in case we need it. So with that, unless there's any questions, that concludes my remarks.
Thank you. Okay. So we have flexibility on those two, is what you're saying.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Robert, I have a question.
ahead.
In one of the agreements that was attached, it calls for annual verification. There's an annual verification process.
Right.
Has that been done, and who does that? And
Director Aguilar, yes. So the annual verification actually is done through the decree accounting process, and since Reclamation, Bureau of Reclamation is the water master in the lower basin, their staff are the ones who actually kind of verify, the numbers. So, the process is we send in water order, and then we'll make revisions periodically throughout the year to kind of reflect the current state, of operations. So, these amounts that we're conserving will be taken off, and will be reflected on our water order, which will be verified and confirmed and finalized in May of the subsequent year.
okay, that's important. Great, thank you.
It is. Thank you.
The agricultural component of this, the 10,000 acre feet, we're not stuck to that having to.
No, you're talking about the Ag Fallon program, Director Bianco? Yeah, that's right. So we're making adjustments on those because, again, as you all know, it's sort of like a pilot program, for us. So we'll probably be making another adjustment, to the 2024 water order before it's finalized next month.
But we're not locked into.
We're not locked in.
10,000.
No,
Okay.
no. It was very clear. It's up to 10,000 acre feet for CEQA compliance.
Hey, Robert, what are the terms of the prepayment options? If we were to elect to prepay the Warp 4, where would that water come from?
Yes, Director Nelson. So when we negotiate with Reclamation, they kind of saw the extension of this, the full period, kind of extending possibly beyond terms of this post 2026 the post 2026 process, because it's a 30-year agreement. So Reclamation basically gave us the flexibility to say, okay, if you have another action that's confirmable, they'll consider it. So I think, as an example, we could be making using the curtailment program, not the one that we're in right now, but once we're done with that, in 2026, we could possibly, use levy, curtailment to fulfill the obligations of that 33,600.
As long as it's a verifiable action.
Yes, sir.
Got it, thank you.
Okay. Sounds good.
So I'll
So,
move approval of
Yeah.
of the item.
thank you. Is there a second?
Yeah, Nelson, I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
President Powell,
Aye.
Vice President Estrada. Do you want to vote on this?
Well, I don't fully understand it. I know we've talked about it a lot in closed session, and I don't quite understand it. I don't.
May I answer any questions that you might have, or would it be helpful?
So okay, yeah. Why don't
Yeah,
maybe
fine.
maybe there's some clarification questions here.
Sure. Do you want me to summarize, or? Oh,
No, so let me just see if I can
Sure.
if I can get to where I need to get. But so is this related to the conversation that we had about taking on those advanced deliveries? That has nothing to do
No,
with this.
no, this is completely separate. This is connected with forbearing or promising not to take water that's created through the programs that are being funded by Reclamation under the IRA funding.
Okay, and so this doesn't touch at all. It doesn't increase or decrease the commitments that we've already made as it relates to the water that we would leave in Lake Mead by foregoing replenishment.
It does. So as you may recall, we have two programs that's kind of listed in the board letter. I think the first one is the levy curtailment, which is 35,000. I think you're referring to.
Which is locked in for how many years? Up until
Well, we
20
were locked in for until 2025.
Okay.
So for this year, the program has been extended for funding for another year. I think everybody else, went through 2026. Since we were one of the first ones to kind of go, we read it where it goes through 2025, right? So I think late last year, Reclamation confirmed that they had money or funding for the calendar year 2026. And I think after speaking with the board, I think there was some desire to possibly exercise that additional last year, which was not covered under our previous agreement.
And that extra year is about
$14 million.
Okay.
Yep. And then the second one is the Warp 4 program, which will not be coming online until 2029 and start, leaving water in Lake Mead. But we need the forbearance agreement to be signed within California in order for all the parties to start getting paid by Reclamation. That is a condition under agreement. So even though, we will not be getting or leaving water behind necessarily until 2029, I think Reclamation in our negotiations provide us the ability to prepay that water if we choose to. So in order for this package to be complete, we're putting the option, to provide up to 33,600 acre feet if we wanted to. And right now, I just don't see us actually doing that. But this will be a trigger to allow us to start getting paid by Reclamation because we have coverage.
Okay, and whether we decide to, if we do this agreement, we're committing to leave water in Lake Mead up until 2026, or is it an option?
It's only so if you're talking about the Warp 4 project or for both.
For Levy.
For Levy, I think this is a commitment for us to do so
Okay.
because we've already signed an agreement with Reclamation. So this is the final piece.
Okay, and then this again, just help me understand how this is tied to Warp 4.
So
I know you kind of explained it, but I missed.
there's two
couldn't follow.
projects
Yeah.
that we are seeking funding from Reclamation. So the Levy facility, which is the more familiar one, that was under bucket 1, which is for short-term conservation.
Yeah, that one I understand.
Okay.
That's the one where we added the extra year,
Right.
and we're getting about 14 million per year.
That's correct.
Okay, I get that one.
Okay. The second one, Warp 4, we went and requested funding from Reclamation
Like
under
like
bucket
20
2.
million.
I'm sorry?
It was like 20 million, or how much was it?
39 million
39,
for
okay.
construction.
Yes,
So it's a big.
and that's the bucket of money that we would give up forever, right?
No, it's
So-
it's a defined amount of water. So right now, what we're doing is converting a portion, 1 million gallon a day of the Warp 4 treatment capacity to tertiary treatment, so that we can substitute, an equivalent amount of Colorado River water, and supply our customers, to be determined.
Yeah, no, I
recycled
get that,
water.
but whatever, it's an exchange, right?
It's an exchange
yeah, and that exchange is
for 30 years,
for 30 years. Okay, that's where I wanted to see if it was-
33,600 acre feet. That's the defined volume.
Okay, so for 30 years, that's where I thought it was. That's why I asked, is it forever?
No, it's not forever.
It's 30 years. Okay,
Right.
So we're giving that water up for 30 years.
Right.
Okay.
But we also have the option of prepaying that if we would needed to. So maybe that's the complicating piece.
Okay. Well, then I'll just make a final comment that the only comment that I think I've been making along all of these agreements from the very beginning, whether it be the money that we're getting from Levy facility, I think specifically that one, and I'll just remind the board that I think it's important for us to talk about how we're going to use that money, because it's a lot of money, and so that's something that eventually we're going to have a big conversation about. And that's it. Thank you for the clarification.
Understood. Oh, and a couple of other things I forgot to mention. So IID has already approved this agreement. They did that so last week, and I think Metropolitan's actually approving it today. So I think with our approval, hopefully we'll kind of complete the majority of the California parties.
Thank you.
So there was a vote. I think I was next.
We're in the middle of.
We have a motion by Director Aguilar, second by Director Nelson.
Do we have
We've
to,
already voted.
do we have to have the commitment
Well,
for the warp?
yeah, but
I'm sorry?
Warp 4, do we have to have that commitment? Does that have to?
We've already approved.
Well, if we want to get paid, yes.
Yeah. But we're going to give up 33,000 acre feet for 30 years
33,600 total
total over 30 years.
over a
It's
30-year
like
period.
1,000 a year.
Sorry, I should have been more clear.
That scared me a little bit there. Okay.
Well, yeah, no, that would have changed the terms significantly.
So I think I was up next.
so let me start. Vice President Estrada,
Yes.
Director Bianco,
Aye.
Director Aguilar,
Aye.
and Director Nelson.
Aye.
Okay, that's 5-0.
Thank you.
Past 5-0. All right. Robert, good morning. This is our Pulte. This is the project right next to Warp 7. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Good morning, President Powell, members of the board. So a special domestic water and sanitation agreement is being proposed with Pulte Home Company for water and wastewater service to their desert retreat developments. That's encompassing a good share of this square mile in between Madison Street, Jefferson Street. You've got Avenue 40 on the south and bordered by Avenue 38 on the north within the city of Indio. So the agreement's gonna address four major items here. The first one is, instead of the developer giving us a well site, they're gonna give us an in lieu fee in the amount of $437,500, and we're gonna use this towards a domestic water-related site, and that kind of ties into the second item here. So the developer is gonna pay the district to design and construct a domestic water site, domestic water well site, and pumping plant. These facilities will be located on a CVWD property, and we will complete the design and construction within 18 months of receiving their deposits. It should be noted too that if there's any treatment that's required for this, they're on the hook for that as well. The third item here is the developer is to design and construct our 7 million gallon 4730-2 reservoir, which would be at the same site as our existing 4730-1 reservoir to the north. Reservoir cost is estimated about $8 million, with the developer's portion being about 24.6% of that, leaving us here to pick up the remaining 75.4%, or about $6,032,000. Actual costs still will be based on competitive bids. So if actual costs do come in greater than the estimated $6,032,000, we will be coming back before the board to request additional funding. And the fourth item is the developer is to install approximately 1,700 feet of 8-inch pipeline That's on Avenue 38 here. That's that red line on your figure between Talavera Boulevard and Primrose Streets. Developer is responsible for the cost of that 8-inch pipeline. However, that pipeline would complete an 18-inch loop on Avenue 38 and Talavera Boulevard. So we would like to upsize that pipeline to an 18-inch. So the district would be responsible for the upsizing costs, which we estimate at $600,000. But like with the reservoir site, actual costs will be based on competitive bids. So if their actual costs do come in greater than that estimate, we will be coming back before the board for additional funding. Therefore, this item is to recommend authorizing the general manager to do the following: to execute the special domestic water and sewer and sanitation system installation agreement with Pulte Home Company, to reimburse Pulte Home Company up to $6,032,000 for the district's portion of the 4730-2 reservoir based on competitive bids. To reimburse Pulte Home Company up to $600,000 for the cost to upsize an 8-inch pipeline in Avenue 38 to an 18-inch pipeline based on competitive bids, and to apply the $437,500 in lieu fee, well site fee, paid by Pulte towards a domestic water-related site within the Sun City pressure zone. And with that, I'd be happy to take any questions the board may have.
Thank you. You know, I just curious, what's the process for determining the capacity of the tank and the 18 inches? I mean, how do we know? I guess the 18 inches matching what's already there, right? There's already something there in that street.
The 18-inch pipeline in Avenue 38.
Right.
Yeah, so there's a section that's missing, and that's where the that's where the 1,700 feet is.
Right.
that
So
red line.
so that makes sense. But then on the tank size, how do you know what the right size is there?
It's based on peak demands here, so we're trying to match our operational capacity to match peak demands. The existing 4730-1 tank, it's a 5 million gallon tank, and we're gonna peak demands are about twice that. So with the 7 million gallon tank, we catch up. It's also got the developer's portion of about 1.7 million gallons, and it leaves a little bit left for additional expansion, additional developments.
And are we keeping the first tank also? So we'll have two.
Absolutely, yeah. So this also gives us flexibility when it comes to maintenance. For
Right.
instance, the 4730-1 tank, it's a 30-year-old tank. So at some point here, we would need to take it down for maintenance. We don't have a really good way of doing that at the moment. Once this tank is installed, though, we can take the other tank down for maintenance.
Okay. Okay. So the capacity of the tank, do you figure on future development besides this project? I'm just curious. I don't know. There's got to be more. There's got to be more than what's here. I see some other vacant land. I mean, do you figure numbers for the other?
So this all starts with hydraulic modeling. So the developer comes in, they give us their daily demands. We peak those. They give us their fire flow. We put it in our model, and then we see how their development impacts us. And then we evaluate our current system. If there's some deficiencies in the model, we evaluate that. Is that because of the developer, or is that because of our current system? And as you know, this has been a very high growing area. And, you know, we have España, we have Domani, there's you know, Talavera over time. And we haven't installed a new reservoir since all of those developments have gone in. The initial reservoir was installed when Del Webb Sun City was built. And so the whole idea of the water system backup facility charge is that we collect those fees over time from each of these developments, and it accumulates until you have enough to build a large enough reservoir. So in this situation, Pulte came in, they had a significant amount of storage, almost 2 million gallons worth, but we don't want to just build a 2 million gallon reservoir, right? So we look and we say, okay, how do we catch up with all the growth that's already existing? And then, you know, we factor in, so there's a formula also in our development design manual that where we size reservoirs based on operational storage, fire flow storage, and a factor of safety. So there's a few things that go into
But
it.
what about future projects that are not currently in the process?
No, we don't.
We don't size for that.
Not necessarily. No.
It may never happen.
Well, they may never happen. Yeah.
Yeah. If we knew, like we've only done that when we've known, like when we did the Pulte project in Rancho Mirage across from the casino. You know, we had we had that 3-party agreement where we had a few developers that were interested in going forward, and so we did factor in some additional future growth, but that was because we had interest. We don't just do it based on
Yeah, just because you see an empty
Yeah.
parcel.
Yeah.
So this project, the Pulte project, are they irrigating? How are they irrigating their landscaping?
they are using, I think they want to use recycled water for common areas, but they are not doing the Cotino.
Not the dual meter thing.
No. Mm-mm.
Probably because they don't have a lake.
Well, yeah, maybe, and they may not have a lot of homeowner landscaping.
Yeah, I
The-
mean, typically their projects are pretty
They'll have a lot of common area landscaping.
desert friendly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
One question, if you could remind me what the trigger is for the well site to be conditioned?
The well site is, I believe, 1,000 units. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Huh. Okay. What is the pleasure of the board? Is there a motion to approve this 8B item?
I'll move approval.
Yep.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
President Powell,
Aye.
Vice President Estrada,
Yes.
Director Bianco,
Aye.
Director Aguilar,
Aye.
and Director Nelson.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, that passed 5-0. C, this is the, hi, Chris. Good morning.
Morning, President Powell, members of the board. Presenting for your consideration and modification to the current defined benefit and compensation plan. Late last year, we submitted several items or several sections of that plan to CalPERS just to have them investigate the reportability of those sections. All passed except longevity pay. They objected to longevity pay. We employed counsel to modify the language. That language has been submitted to CalPERS. They've approved it as it sits on the red line version that you all received. We're seeking your approval to modify the DBCP to ensure that that special compensation is reportable.
Right. Okay.
What's the financial implications for that as if we approve this?
It changes nothing. The practice has been for longevity pay to be reportable and considered in the calculation for retirement for all retirees.
So yeah, how does that financially affect our liabilities for retiree pay?
There you go. I can try to help answer that. So the longevity pay is only paid to classic CalPERS members, and it did end at a certain point in time, and it's not increasing since then. And it's already included in our calculation for our actuarial reporting. So there is no additional financial impact, either monetarily going out now or to our actuarial evaluation reporting, because it's already included in there for those future retirees. And the reason CalPERS, to clarify why they need the amendment, is because they need to be able to calculate and verify what that payment is for the retirees on the actual when we report out. So the current language is a little bit vague and didn't tell us when the initial payments started and how they were calculated on after the 7 years and the 8th year and then every 5 years after that. So they just needed amended language to clarify how to calculate the actual longevity pay and verify that for retirement. Director Nelson, you're muted.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. So if we didn't approve this, what would happen?
Well, this is Scott Hunter. If we didn't approve it, then there would be employees that would be adversely impacted by not having their longevity pay as a factor in the CalPERS pensionable 1 year. And basically, CalPERS looks at the compensation, which is the highest 12-month period for those classic members. So, for example, just to throw something out, if CalPERS identified that the highest average salary for someone was $150,000, and they had longevity pay of let's say $100 a month, which is $2,400 a year, that $2,400 would not be included in that final calculation. So there would be employees that would be adversely impacted by not having that longevity pay included in their final pensionable calculation from CalPERS.
So that would be a reduction of benefits, which would be a reduction of cash outlay, which would be not to belabor the point, but a less liability for the district in terms of costs. So I guess the question is if we didn't approve it, what would the cost savings be?
Well, as a reminder, the employees have already been paying into the CalPERS portion and the employer portion for this benefit, and it's a negotiated benefit from the past. So I think we might be in violation of a labor agreement if we did not adhere to the longevity pay for the retirees.
No. So the question is whether the payment is PERSable or not PERSable, and I don't know if the contract specifically with the employees whether it specifically stated that this was PERSable compensation. I'm looking at this as if it was a special benefit of longevity pay for those who had been there a long time, and we didn't include it in PERSable compensation at that time. I'm just wondering what the additional cost it will be to now include it as a PERSable compensation and what it will mean in cost to the districts.
So again, the longevity pay has been reported as special compensation for both the Teamsters bargaining group and the asset bargaining group. So it's been reported as special compensation. Again, it's just the MOU on the DBCP where we have an issue that the longevity pay does not accurately reflect to be special compensation. But again, I was not here back in 2014, but I'm assuming that we did good faith in those negotiations, and that was negotiated as a special compensation benefit because we currently have been paying it as a special compensation benefit reportable to CalPERS.
What other compensation do employees receive that are non-PERSable?
That are non-PERSable, well, there's certain categories of special compensation, right? So there are things that can be reported as special compensation, such as uniform allowance. If we had negotiated in an MOU a uniform allowance, that's a statutory special compensation, but we don't have uniform allowance in our MOUs. We have a boot slip program. So those boot slips that we provide are not reported as special compensation to CalPERS. You have other like certification pays that are considered special compensation, but some certification pays are not. And CalPERS has a listing of all special compensation categories and codes that we can provide to you should you need that. And yeah, thank you, Chris. Pay for performance, which is our annual performance incentive program, that is also not reportable as special compensation. So that does not get included in the final calculation retirement formula for employees.
So does the DBCP have that benefit of a pay for performance?
Yes.
So the longevity pay would somewhat be in a similar category of, or could be considered in the similar category as pay for performance.
If the board decided not to elect longevity pay with the language that's provided, then those employees that are in the DBCP would not have longevity pay included in their retirement formula.
I think,
So with that, I would just ask, what does it cost to include this longevity pay into the CalPERS form?
Yeah, there's only so many individuals in the DBCP that are even eligible for this because we froze longevity pay in 2014. So there's six individuals that are in the DBCP, and also as a reminder that some of those individuals that are in the DBCP right now were part of the ACV DWM management group MOU before it became the DBCP.
Okay, so we're only talking about 6 individuals, Scott?
That is correct.
All right, yeah, no, that doesn't sound like a big impact
No.
to me.
It says it costs $10,800.
$10,800 total.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I think to Director Nelson's point, though, I think he was trying to, and I think it's an important thing to be aware of, is like the intent of the board's action back then, whether this was to be pursuable or not, because we have implemented certain payments that are not pursuable, like pay for performance.
Certainly.
And so I think it's important to try to understand what it was that we decided to do back then. But seeing that it's such a low cost and only 6 individuals, I think it kind of reduces any type of liability that we might have. So, but I think it was a good point what he was trying to get at.
And that's noted.
That sounds great. I'd move approval.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
President Powell,
Aye.
Vice President Estrada,
Yes.
Director Bianco,
Aye.
Director Aguilar,
Aye.
and Director Nelson.
Aye?
Thank you.
Thank you. That passed 5-0. All right. So,
Thanks, Chris.
written, yeah, thanks, Chris. Written communications, we had 3 of them listed on the packet. They're all of similar nature. All right, on to board general comments. Director Nelson.
Yeah, no comments today, John.
Director Aguilar?
None.
No comments.
None. No, I'll skip mine also. Do we have any board requests for future agenda items? No. All right, and then on to the meetings. First one, March 27th, we had a teleconference on the 35,000 acre-foot exchange agreement with Matt, and I was on there, Director Nelson was on there. Thought it was actually pretty helpful for me to get a better understanding of that.
Yeah, I
March-
thought so too, John, and it that pre-meeting will certainly help our discussion later.
I think so, yeah. March 27th, Senior Inspiration. How many people attended that? was it?
About 6 of us, and then we had
Oh,
four,
yeah?
we had 4 guests. Director Aguilar was there, and Sylvia, Jim, Finance, Carla was there, and Karen was there. So, and then we had some guests from around the valley with us, and it went well. We Mission Springs Water District also had a full table, and Desert Water Agency had a full table. So
Jeez.
it was nice to see that that they were able to participate. I think Director Gracia says he watches our meetings, and he thought it was a great idea after we decided to participate. So he brought it up to his board, and so they got a table as well. So I was happy to chat with them for a few minutes, but it went well. It's a lot of seniors throughout the valley that get recognized for their life work, and they're now seniors doing a lot of voluntary work, and it's good. It's good to be there,
Good.
and mingle with the community.
Great. March 31st, meeting with DHS Council Member Voss. Director Aguilar.
Yeah, John. So Dirk Voss, who is a new council member in Desert Hot Springs, he's actually been in town for a long time. He was on the planning commission for many years, and he is a real estate consultant, development consultant. Wanted to talk about a lot of development inquiries they've been getting down at the corner of 10 and Palm Drive. They've had a number of interested developments come in, and the ability for us to provide water to that area and the pros and cons of how we approach that. And Kerry was there as well. It was very useful. We discussed sort of some of the complications in our providing water, and perhaps taking a larger approach that might involve discussions with other districts.
Yes, thank you. And then April 3rd, we had our Public Finance Committee meeting. I was there, and Director Aguilar was there.
Mm-hmm.
Covered a lot of ground. I thought it was really good. Interesting.
So, is there anything you could share on? I know they always share that it almost looks like the periodic table of the stock market. And is it all red?
Oh, you mean how is our OPEB fund doing? We didn't spend a lot of time on that, but the numbers we had were through through March 31st, or was it even December 31st? So
Carly's here.
it
September.
didn't
Sounds
show
like
all the
September.
it didn't show all the excitement
Oh.
from the last week, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like
But what I mean, the day of the meeting was the day when we saw a mini crash on the stock market, and so it might have changed a little bit of our strategy, I think, even though this is a long-term investment compared to a short-term, blip in the
Okay.
market.
was it scary? No.
They did. I mean, the implication they gave to us was that that over a blended period of time that we're going to be fine.
Yeah,
So-
honestly, those funds have done really well. I mean, our OPEB fund has done really well. Compared to what we would have had if we'd left it in general district funds.
The only thing I would add, John, is that we did discuss at length the rollover of the 2022 notes and what our options are to take those out, because USDA funds are not available for that because our projects have been delayed. And all of that will be coming to the board in future items.
Right. Yes.
Those are loans. The loans.
They're
The loans.
bond, actually bond notes that had an end date of May of 2025, and so they need to be somehow refinanced. They call it rolling. Well, we've talked about it a little bit in open session, but
Yeah. That
there's
has nothing to do with the projects in the CIP that we looked at for this.
No,
Those are
this is
older.
just to keep those.
Those are
Well,
older.
it's tied to the when you finish those projects, because the idea is that we have USDA note commitment that they'll and they've been watching our meetings and might be watching right now, but that that once we complete those projects, we'll be able to borrow these on these low cost
I understand. So we have
loans. We just need to get from here to there.
Yeah,
because
so-
this project, a lot of the project, 3 of those projects aren't done yet.
okay, got it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, but yeah, that'll come up probably in our next meeting. Yes.
But that doesn't mean that we're slowing down projects.
No,
That means we're just extending the time. On
we just need to be able to finance the interim because we have to pay off those notes.
because it's a reimbursement thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get reimbursed once the project's finished by the USDA. Those low interest loans. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so that'll come up at the next meeting. Do we have any other meetings we need to report on?
Yeah, John, I have a couple. Let's see, on March 24th, I had a California Farm Water Coalition succession planning meeting for our executive director's retirement. And then on way back on March 4th, I had a Section 5 contractors meeting, continuing on with the 7 state discussions. And then, not that I'm claiming it, but just to let you know, on March 20th, I watched both the 2/18, February 18th and the January budget meeting, so I could be back up to speed with that. So those were rather interesting. You guys did a great job, great questions. Appreciated that. That's all.
Okay. Anything else? Is there a motion to approve per diem for the meetings reported on?
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
President Powell,
Aye.
Vice President Estrada,
Yes.
Director Bianco.
Aye.
Director Aguilar. And Director Nelson.
Aye.
Passed 5-0. General Manager report.
Nothing this morning, sir.
Council.
Not today, sir.
Oh, we're gonna make the 9 o'clock cutoff, aren't we?
sir.
Any departmental reports? You have 12
I do not
minutes.
see any, sir. No, not this morning.
Thank you. All right, at this time, the board will recess into closed session to consider the items listed on the agenda. We will reconvene following that closed session to report out. Right, so regular meeting is reconvened. We do not have any reportable action from closed session, and with no further business, we are adjourned.